Suman. With a copy of the Constitution of Bharat in hand, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami entered the State Assembly and tabled the much-awaited and touted Uniform Civil Code Bill, making Uttarakhand the first state in Bharat to do so. Goa does have UCC in place, but it's just a carry forward of the legacy from the colonial rule, ladies and gentlemen. So, in independent Bharat, for a country, for a state to actually table a bill, this perhaps is the first instance. The Treasury benches welcome the tabling of the bill with the thumping of desks and chants of Bharat Mata Ki Jai and Vande Mataram. The 192-page bill will be the first such legislation to be implemented in any state post-independence. The Uttarakhand Uniform Civil Code Bill proposes a common law on marriage, divorce, land, property and inheritance for all citizens of the state irrespective of their religion. It stipulates registration of live-in relationships in the state and polygamy has been criminalized. The bill has exempted tribal communities and other BJP-ruled states, meanwhile, are starting to take a cue. They are mulling implementation of the UCC and discussions on the same are currently underway. So it is clearly just the aspect of it being passed. It's 192 pages, so they have wanted time to read through it, maybe overnight, and midweek, that's on Wednesday, we may just see passage of this bill in the state of Uttarakhand and in its assembly.
समान नागरिक संहिता उत्तराखंड विधेयक 2024 को प्रस्थापित करने हेतु सदन की अनुज्ञा चाहता हूँ।
राष्ट्रीय यह है कि समान नागरिक संहिता उत्तराखंड व्यवहार
यूसीसी लाने का वादा किया हुआ है देश की जनता से। भाजपा का विचार का मुद्दा है और आज उत्तराखंड यानी देवभूमि से शुरुआत हुई है
और हम प्रयास कर रहे हैं कि पहले नंबर पे उत्तराखंड आ गए तो दूसरे नंबर पर राजस्थान आए।
उन्होंने बहुत चतुराई से अपना भाजपा के अंदर स्थान बनाने के लिए इस यूसीसी का उपयोग किया।
They can implement it in BJP ruled state. It will not happen in West Bengal.
The unemployment, joblessness, hunger and the rural distress is widespread in the country. So they want to divert people's attention from these real issues.
There are Hindus too who are going to get affected of the joint families and others.
Before we go across to our guests, just some highlights, some important points from this UCC draft. One of the aspects is, how does marriage get defined? Marriage is defined or termed as marriage when a male has completed 21 years and a female 18 years. Neither party has more than one spouse, so once again polygamy is done away with, and compulsory registration within 60 days. Register all marriages post the 26th of March 2010. This has to be done. A maximum fine of 20,000 rupees for not registering marriages. Same-sex marriages are not allowed. As per the UCC draft, same-sex marriages not allowed, and you've got to register all weddings that have taken place since the 26th of March 2010. Now, polygamy, it's been criminalized, and the wife, the female, can seek divorce on grounds of polygamy. So that's been allowed. As far as live-in relationship, partners will have to submit a statement to the registrar. The statement has to be sent to the local police station, and parents have to be informed if a partner is less than 21 years. If either of the partners is less than 21 years, a live-in relationship, the parents have to be informed. Only then In this construct, will it be deemed a live-in relationship, or can any kind of legal reprisal or recourse be sought on the grounds of a live-in relationship? Let's go across to our guests and understand, is this the correct template, and will the rest of Bharat follow? As we introduce our guest this evening on the right stand, let me also tell our viewers that we've had Hemant Biswa Sarma talk about it and say we will discuss it in this session and bring it in the next session. The Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister has indicated that they want to do it. In Rajasthan, they have indicated that they want to be the first state post Uttarakhand to bring in UCC. So that's the mood currently. Charu Pragya, national spokesperson of the BJP, is with us. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author and commentator, with us. Amna Begum Ansari, policy analyst, with us, and Tehseen Punawala, political analyst, with us. Namaste, Jai Hind to the ladies and the gentlemen on the panel. Thank you very, very much. Dr. Ranganathan, your first thoughts on this. Is this the right template? 192 pages, summary is doing the rounds. Have you had a chance to peruse it? Do you think this is the right template?
Good evening, Anand, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Look, a uniform civil code, or the UCC, I believe firmly, is not just a necessity for India. It's a prerequisite for India's unity. Anand, religious fanatics may have held to ransom a generation previous to ours through partition. They may have held to ransom our generation through Shah Bano. But we will not allow them to hold to ransom our future generations. We have to say no to religious fanatics. Enough is enough. There are broadly 4 issues here, and I'd like to delve into them briefly. Number 1, on the pretext of diversity, one cannot allow discrimination to flourish, and that is what has been happening. Just one example. Supreme Court, Anand, recently conferred Hindu daughters with equal rights to fathers' properties going back to 1947, saying, quote, Hindu texts recognize female rights, unquote. But in India, because of the verse 411, a Muslim daughter is entitled to only half of what a son is. Does this not bother our activists and those fighting for women's rights? Is this not discrimination? For how long will you make Muslim women suffer discrimination by shrouding them in this burqa of diversity? 2, there already is a uniform civil code applicable in Goa for decades. Goa has a minority population of 38%. Tell me, are the minorities in Goa suffering or being discriminated against because of the uniform civil code? On the contrary, they seem very happy to me. 3, the UCC is enshrined in our constitution under the directive principles. Dr. Ambedkar was an active proponent of it. He rejected amendments of exceptionality by Muslim legislators to Article 35, which is now 44, that asks for the UCC to be implemented. Quote, I personally do not understand why religion should be given this vast, expansive jurisdiction so as to cover the whole of life and to prevent the legislature from encroaching upon that field. After all, what are we having this liberty for? We are having this liberty in order to reform our social system, which is so full of inequities, discrimination and other things which conflict with our fundamental rights, unquote. Besides, the UCC has been ordered to be implemented on more than one occasion by courts, most famously in the Shah Bano case. Quote, a common civil code will help the cause of national integration by removing disparate loyalties to laws which have conflicting ideologies, unquote. Ambedkar ki nahi sunni, Supreme Court ki nahi sunni, Constitution ki nahi sunni, but Sharia ki sunni hai. And by the way, for bringing in social reforms and equality to Hindu society, the Congress gladly brought in the Hindu code bills, but covered away like a wet cat when it came to reforming Muslim society. I repeat, I am against any law or code that discriminates between gender, sex, caste, creed, religious denomination, communities or groups. 4, above everything, Anand, there is this pursuit of a law or a code that begets what I call universal good, that is just, equal and based on science. Only then can societies progress. We have seen this time and again. The abortion limit has been decided by science and it has changed over years. Was that not warranted? Infant vaccination, contraception, prohibited in many societies. Was that not warranted? Similarly, science tells us that marriage of a woman upon puberty, sanctioned in Islam, demanded by AMPLB and ratified by Indian code, irreversible physical and mental damage to the woman's body. Should we continue to cause damage in the name of diversity? You want to continue to marry Indian girl childs because your community has been doing so, while every other community in India has to follow the prohibition of Child Marriage Act. Is that pro-woman? Finally, just 30 seconds, Anand. I think it is wrong that the tribal community has been exempted from the Uttarakhand UCC draft, because then by definition it is not uniform civil code. If you want to eradicate discrimination uniformly, polygamy, child marriage, inheritance, then how can you exempt one community? It makes a mockery of your concern about social evils. Additionally, exempting one community will give an excuse to other communities to continue with the discrimination. As I said, just 10 seconds, if the purpose of the UCC is to eradicate discrimination and unify us, then it has to be applied universally and uniformly.
Tehseen Poonawala?
Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Your thoughts? I'll speak less, you people speak more.
Thank you.
So go ahead.
No, thank you so much. First of all, I completely agree that the UCC has nothing to do with Muslims. So when the word Sharia is used, or when the word, and I see a lot of Muslim MPs protest, I don't understand why they have to protest. I am for the UCC. Please bring in the UCC. Muslims, I don't know why they have to stand up and protest against the UCC. Perhaps because they want to help the BJP win election, be it OAC or be it the Samajwadi Party, Muslim MPs were standing up and creating this rift in society. But the fact of the matter remains this, that UCCs, this is not the first time UCC has been brought into this country. Goa already has a UCC, as my worthy panelist Dr. Anand Ranganathan said it. And in Goa and the UCC, a Hindu male above the age of 30 can remarry if he does not have a male child. And Pramod Sawantji, the current Chief Minister of Goa, speaking to CNN News 18, said there is no need to change that law in Goa. This is not the UCC, this is the Uttarakhand Civil Code. And an entire population, the tribals, has been kept out. Even the UCC that they are dreaming to bring in on the national level for India, they want to make an exception for tribals. Then how is it the UCC? It's the Uttarakhand Civil Code. Point number 2, I quoting Anand, he said most changes happen and should happen based on science, and I completely agree with him. Anand, as you know, both the Anands, Charu and Amna, being in a same-sex relationship has been sanctioned by the Honorable Supreme Court. Why has that been discriminated in the live-in relationships? I absolutely don't understand. Why should they not be registered? Now, let's come to the third part. In the state of Gujarat, from where the Honorable Prime Minister and Home Minister hail, there is something called Maitri Karar, where a man can have a girlfriend officially, despite having a wife, on record. Why is this not going to be eliminated? Come back to the state of Uttarakhand. We now have the government in our bedrooms, on our bed, to register live-in marriages. Not only is this dangerous, this is absolutely undemocratic. I'm sure the courts will strike it down. But for a government to even comprehend something like this makes you shudder to think at what level does this government go. Now you're going to have relationships that need government sanction. What if somebody is in a casual relationship? What if somebody is just in a sexual relationship but not in a live-in relationship? What if somebody is in a live-in relationship but not in a sexual relationship? What if the woman is in a polygamous relationship? What if the woman has multiple partners and does not want to settle down with one partner? Who is the government to get into people's bed? What if somebody is in a situationship and not in a relationship? For the government to come down and to get into people's beds, I think is horrendous. For this to even be considered by the BJP is scary. The only other there is no democratic country that I know about it, but the only other country that I know allows it is Saudi Arabia and Iran, that has such kind of moral policing. We are fast heading down that spiral. Well, we are heading down the way of Saudi Arabia and Iran, and that I think is extremely dangerous, where you have moral police force.
Okay. Charu Pragya. Well, Dr. Ranganathan, you have to let everybody make a comment, then I'll come back to you, sir. Yes, Charu Pragya, respond.
Because Tehseen is talking about the government getting into people's beds. Is it okay for halala to continue? Normal person getting into a woman's bed? Don't you agree? And if halala is being struck down, what is the problem? This, Anand, is the biggest step of Modi 2.0, and it is going to put a big tick mark against our 3-point checklist since the inception of our party before Modi 3.0. And I am very happy. It had to begin somewhere. I am glad it is beginning in Uttarakhand. Those who say this is about religion, let me tell them this is more about protecting women and children. It's less about religion. It is more about being concerned that a 12-year-old child can get married, and a high court in this country cannot do much about it because the Muslim personal law allows it. This is about two children growing up together and one having the privilege to study till the age of 18, till the age of 21, and the other does not have that privilege. And everything that is written down in the code, the Uniform Civil Code, is extremely important, because a society cannot progress in isolation. Do you want to keep different communities in isolated silos? How is the country going to progress if we do that? They will not understand each other. Also, in one country, you cannot have separate laws which govern the same set of people. You cannot have it both ways. And if the Sharia law is so important to you, why not follow Sharia law to a T and get your hand cut off for even theft? So this convenient stand, which I'm ashamed to say men take. How many women will object to this? I can't think of many, unless it is for political reasons. But this convenient stand that men have continued to take needs to go. Uniform Civil Code is the simplest thing that we are talking about. All children should be allowed to get married at the same age. Every child being born in a family should have equal rights on their parents' resources and wealth. Every single woman should be married to one person and one person alone. And lastly, Tehseen, because you were talking about live-in relationships, let's accept one reality of society today. Live-in relationships exist, whether you like them or not. There are children which could be born from these live-in relationships. Those children need to have rights. Who's going to give them these rights? We need a law taking which these children can be protected. And I actually also want to remind you that the panel, which was led by a former judge of the Supreme Court, actually engaged with over 80,000 stakeholders in the country. 80,000. They have more than 2.33 lakh written suggestions and pieces of feedback which they have incorporated in a 750-page report. This has not happened overnight. It has taken a lot of work. It has taken consensus, and we have come to a point where India is going to become truly secular in the days to come.
In terms of getting into anybody's homes or into anybody's bed, etc., if there has to be any legal recourse sought for somebody who's not in marriage, who's not in a contract, marriage is actually a contract between two people, and if that but there has been a consistent staying together or live in, then on what grounds will somebody consider this unless it is registered and informed to the local police and with the registrar and there is a record of the same? That's one of the aspects that it gets documented. There is nothing, there is no fight about that. What if everybody can ask, what if nobody is getting into deciding on anybody's judgment of what kind of an equation you have with a partner? But if you are getting into an engagement which is beyond a certain term and both sides believe that they would want a certain level of legal recourse despite not being in a contractual engagement with each other, this act is actually providing for that. That's the simpler way of explaining what you try to set up there, Tehseen. I'll come back to you in just a minute. No, you may agree to disagree with me, or you may disagree with me. I'll come back to you. Let Amna Begum Ansari also speak about this. This is not focusing only on the Muslim groups or Muslims community, Charu Prakash. Among Hindus, among non-Muslim, non-Hindu religious groups also, there are a lot of practices which now will get streamlined, and this will actually help those who get into special marriages, that is intercaste, intercommunity, etc. Because there is one common law for all. One cannot hide behind your caste, subcaste, community, subcommunity, personal laws and try and use that as a shield against what is the legal framework. Amna Begum Ansari.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that I'm very delighted to hear this news, that this is like, for me, dreams come true, because I have been vocal for very long. It's been 10 years fighting for the UCC, because I know this is the only way when women of Muslim community will get treated equally, because I believe we have been getting the second-class citizen of treatment within the Muslim community. However, there has been, I'm still skeptical of few things, because I do not know that what is the rule about halala, how that would be criminalized, and what is the status of divorce right, because still men have the rights to divorce the women. It's unilateral. So those are the things I would like to see the more work, government putting on more effort on it. So I don't have much to say. Basically, I have been fighting for this for very long, and I think.
But don't you think, Amna ji, when it comes to marriage and divorce and inheritance and land, those 5 aspects will get, and death. So all of this gets covered under it. So divorce laws will be the same as per the personal laws will not come into play. Won't it be the Special Marriages Act or the as codified the divorce law? Why will there be any ambiguity when UCC comes into place? All other personal laws get scrapped.
If there is a rule that you cannot divorce women by giving the talaq and you have to go through the proper legal process, yes, then it will happen for the women, also Muslim women. Otherwise, the right will still remain with the men, because they can divorce, because it's written that you can still follow your own rituals. So if you talk about the rituals of the Muslim to get divorce, you can just unilaterally divorce the women. So that's the one aspect I want to see. Some clarity
for our research team, just to clarify this, and Charu Pragya is a lawyer herself, says he understands law. The laws that UCC will replace, whether it in Uttarakhand or across the country, these are the laws, and let's try and call that up if we can. The Hindu Disposition of Property Act 1916 gets replaced. The Hindu Marriage Act 1965 gets replaced. The Hindu Minority and Guardianship Act 1956 gets replaced. The Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act 1956 gets replaced. The Hindu Succession Act 1956 gets replaced. As for among the Muslims, the Musalman Waqf Act 1923 gets replaced. The Muslim Personal Law Shariat Application Act 1937 gets replaced. So by default then halala, khula, all of that, instant talaq or teen talaq, all of that goes out. Dissolution of Muslim Marriages Act 1939 gets replaced. Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Divorce Act 1986, that also gets replaced by this act. Now for Christians, the Indian Divorce Act 1869, the Indian Christian Marriage Act 1872, the Indian Succession Act 1925 and the Marriage Dissolution Act 1936. All of these get replaced. They don't apply. What applies is the Uniform Civil Code, Amna ji. Yes, please.
Okay, but one thing I want to add, even you cannot replace the halala practice, you have to criminalize it, because people will still practice it. Like you can make the rule that children marriage is not allowed, but you have to put certain kind of punishment on that. So that's what I'm talking about, that we have to work a little bit more. But overall, I'm so happy that I am seeing this day, and as an Indian Muslim woman, I feel like I am not the stepdaughter of the nation. That's I want to say.
Charuji, Dr. Ranganathan coming to you. Charuji wanted to clarify on halala. Yeah.
Just interjecting.
Halala I want to clarify something.
Punishable up to 3 years of a jail term and a fine of up to 2 lakhs or both. So halala is going to be punishable with 3 years in jail. It is already criminalized.
So 3 years in jail, fine of up to 2 lakhs or both. So that's what the draft says about halala. Dr. Ranganathan and then Tehseen Poonawala. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
Very, very briefly, all the 3 other panelists have made excellent points, especially Amana ji. I have 2 points to make. I think my brother Tehseen is walking down a very dangerous path when he says that the government has no role to play in the bedroom. I'll give you just a couple of examples. Number 1, if what he says is true, then should the government not intervene on blatantly misogynistic, patriarchal and discriminatory practice like halala? Number 1, and for everyone's information, that is quote unquote consenting adults participating in halala. That is absolutely repugnant and misogynistic. Does the government has no role in banning that? Number 2, if we are not talking of consenting adults, does the government have no role in banning child marriages that are still allowed in some religions, through some religions, and vindicated by none other than the high courts of this country? So the government has a role. And I'm not saying that the government should, be a peeping Tom at all times and intervene when it is not required. But in some clearly misogynistic criminal practices, and also when consenting adults are not required, are not participating, the governments have a role. Number 2, and this is very important as far as Charu is concerned. Charu, if it is a uniform civil code and all of us are lauding its application, can I please ask you as a BJP representative, what uniformity would be left if you have exempted a huge chunk of the Uttarakhand population from it? Is that not wrong?
See, and let me just put an addendum there, Charu Pragya, before you answer this, and then Tehseen, I'll give you your final 2 minutes. That's a promise before we wind up the debate. The fact is that among these tribes, If these tribes then convert their religion and become Muslims, become Christians, become some other religion than their native faiths, what happens then? Because you've exempted them tribes. Do they continue to remain tribes, but they may change their faith? Then what happens?
So Anand, I wish I had the answer to that, and probably that's a grey area which the government will give us more clarification on in the times to come. The bill has been tabled, that's a beginning, and the reason for removing the tribes from this is that we are trying to protect the way the indigenous tribes of this country have been functioning, whether in Uttarakhand or in the northeast or in any other part of the country. I do understand your concern that if it is uniform, it has to be uniform throughout. Absolutely, sir. And certain things cannot change. It doesn't matter what section of society you are from. I stand with you on that. But let me assure you of one thing. When the Modi government talks of bringing in uniform civil code, it is done with the intention of giving equal dignity and equal rights to every section of society. And most of all, the women who have felt like a stepdaughter, like Amna ji said.
No, here is the thing. It just needs one line. Tribes, as long as they continue to practice their indigenous ways,
practices.
that's when they are tribes, and then they are continue to be indigenous. The moment they convert, the moment they move and leave their indigenous ways and their indigenous practices, then they cease to be seen as tribes. That needs to, that is,
I believe.
that needs to be the condition, because that's when it applies to the northeast. That's when it applies to everywhere else. They cannot continue to claim to be indigenous tribes while they've changed their ways, their paths, their faith, everything, and they've shed their indigenous practices, but continue to call themselves indigenous. That is something that needs to be considered, as Dr. Ranganathan said. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, and then Tehseen.
Very briefly, the attempt of UCC to bring in UCC is to remove discrimination and social evils. Now I ask you, if an indigenous tribe practices polygamy and you exempt that indigenous tribe from the UCC, are you not continuing with the social evil? It's a simple question.
That also needs to be considered. Tehseen Poonawalla, I'm running out of time. Yes.
So, one thing that everyone's been saying, one law, one country, from Jammu and Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from Nagaland to Gujarat, for marriage, divorce, inheritance, adoption and death already exists, the Special Marriage Act. I got married under that act, and you could be of any religion, two Muslims, two Hindus, Muslim, Hindu, Brahmin, Dalit, as long as you're married under that act applies across the length and breadth of this country. Now, when I say it's very dangerous for the government to be in your bed, I stand by it. I of course think Halala should go, and I congratulate Amna ji. She's been fighting for this. I think this is great. I am saying it is great. Halala should go. But the live-in relationship clause is mandatory, Anand, for it to be registered. Now imagine where somebody is in a situationship. They're not in a relationship, but the government wants you to register it. And even if you're 19, wants you to inform your parents about it. Who is the government to get into people's bedrooms? What if it's a polygamous girl? She's in a polygamous relationship.
Please understand.
What if they are two?
Please understand.
Anand, please. This is very important. What if they're two people of the same sex? And they are in a live-in relationship? Why is there no protection there? You're not even allowing
because
them to live.
Because same-sex marriages are not recognized because they have not yet been legalized in our country.
Which is so dangerous.
Same-sex marriages have not yet been legalized in our country. They have not.
I'm not talking about marriage, Anand. Anand, listen.
Please understand. Please understand.
I'm talking about relationship.
Please understand. Hear me out. The fact is, if you seek legal recourse, if you are in a live-in relationship and then you are going to approach the court because you are in a live-in relationship for any dispute resolution as in a legal relationship, then that legal relationship will be considered, or that live-in relationship will be considered only if it is registered. You can choose not to register, sir. But if you
but the registration is mandatory.
If you choose not to register,
you're not understanding, Anand.
Beyond, sir, there is a particular period.
No, you can't do that,
sir. If you are in a let me just look at the highlights and call it out right now. As far as the live-in relationship,
I'm telling you this as a matter of fact.
As far as the live-in relationship is concerned, the partners have to submit their statement to the registrar. That is, if they decide to continue to stay on in a live-in relationship beyond a certain point, you have to declare it, because that's the only way you will get legal recourse or you will
Why?
get protection by the law. Otherwise,
But
you will
just-
not get protection under the
One
law.
second.
That's
Anand.
all. Because,
Right, you-
Anand,
because
just hold on.
the registrar
Anand.
needs to know if this is really a live-in couple or is it just somebody who's creating a figment of imagination
Anand, let me
overnight.
explain this to you.
So that's
Anand,
where
you-
that
Anand,
is
you
where
have
it
to
is.
allow
I
me
have
to
run out
explain
of
this to
time.
you.
I have run out of time. Let
No,
this
it's
matter.
not how it works. You're
We will
saying,
talk about this more at length. I have run out of time for the moment. But as far as having it equally applicable to all, recognizing who are indigenous tribes and who are not, that is important. And certain practices, even indigenous tribes over a period of time, set that time limit, have to be encouraged to do away with in their own way, of their own volition, before the law becomes applicable on them. I think that those things need to be brought in there. I have to wind up on that. Thank you very, very much. Very engaging conversation, and we'll take this forward. Thank you very much. Dr. Ranganathan stays on with us. And of course, you viewers have to stay on with us, because when we come back, Tehseen Poonawal also stays on with us, because it's about the race to 24. 370 is a target the PM has set. Can they really get there? And how? We figure out what the numbers show us. Stay with us.
शासन का भी फेलियर है इसमें पूरा और निश्चित है ये फेलियर के कारण ही घटना हुई है। अगर कभी वहां से हटा दिया जाता तो ये इतनी घटना नहीं होती, या टाइम से चेक कर लेते, स्टॉक इतना नहीं होने देते। स्टॉक बहुत बड़ा स्टॉक था, पूरे हरदा में भूकंप जैसी तो स्थिति नहीं है। हरदा है और हरदा के मकानों की खिड़कियां सब फूट गई हैं, सभी प्राय मकान, और छोटे मकान आजू बाजू की कॉलोनी में तो टूट गए, गिर गए, इस टाइप की चीजें हुई हैं। और गिरने से भी लोग मकान गिरे हैं तो उसमें दबके लोगों भी इंजर्ड हुए हैं। कोई रोड पे चल रहा था तो पत्थर उड़ के गया तो उससे लग के इंजर्ड हुए हैं। तो ऐसे भी बहुत सारी वो घटना हुई है। तो काफी बड़ा हादसा है ये, और शहर के बीच में था, ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है।
जी दोगने साहब, आप कह रहे हैं, एक क्लैरिफाई करने के लिए, कि आप कह रहे हैं ये एक इलीगल फायर क्रैकर फैक्ट्री थी, आपने बहुत सारी शिकायतें की थी इसके खिलाफ, क्योंकि पहले भी घटनाएं ऐसी हो चुकी हैं।
जी, पहले भी घटना हो चुकी है, पहले भी 2-3 लोग मारे जा चुके, उसमें अंदर विस्फोट हुआ तो
जी। और
यहाँ एक कॉलोनी और आजू बाजू कॉलोनियां भी हैं, कॉलोनियों में भी ये पटाखे बनाते, घर से भी बना के जहाँ भर के लोग ले जाते हैं, 1-2 किलो ये ले जाते हैं और ले जाके बनाकर घर में करते हैं। तो इस तरह की भी कॉलोनी में भी चलता। अगर वो तो बच गई, कॉलोनी में नहीं फैला, नहीं तो कॉलोनी में फैलता तो हर घर में विस्फोट होता, ये स्थिति बनती। पर इसको ये चल रही है, यही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। अब मैं ज्यादा क्या बोल पाऊँ अभी, तो है ना, मैं कल के बाद आरोप लगाऊंगा ये सब चीजों पे, क्योंकि ये प्रशासन का पूरा फेल्यूर है। इसमें पुलिस और प्रशासन का दोनों का फेल्यूर है कि जो इस तरह की फैक्ट्रियां चल रही हैं और आप लोग अगर कभी देख नहीं पा रहे हैं तो दुर्भाग्य। हम लोगों की शिकायत के बाद भी कार्रवाइयां नहीं हुई है, ये भी दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है।
Right, so strong charges coming in from the Harda MLA saying that this was clearly an illegal firecracker factory. Despite complaints going to the local administration, no action was taken against this illegal firecracker factory. Also saying that a lot of the homes surrounding the firecracker factory also had inflammable material, and thankfully those did not ignite. But the fact is that there have been several cases in the past as well. That is what Ramkishore Dogne, the Harda MLA, has pointed out to us. But no action was taken by the local administration when it comes to cracking down on these illegal firecracker factories, especially in Harda. And now, as you can see those visuals on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, an intense blast taking place at this.
तुरंत अपने प्रशासन को एक्टिव करते हुए जो हो सकता है वो सब करने के लिए लगभग 50 से ज़्यादा एम्बुलेंस हमने रवाना कर दी है, जिसमें घायलों को तुरंत नज़दीक के हॉस्पिटल में इसकी सुविधा मिले, बर्न यूनिट चालू हो जाए। इसलिए इंदौर, भोपाल, होशंगाबाद सभी दूरबर्न यूनिट और डॉक्टरों की टीम तैनात कर दी है। साथ ही साथ एक हेलीकॉप्टर से मेरे अपने कैबिनेट में जानकारी आई से मंत्री राव प्रताप सिंह, ACS अजीत केसरी, DG होम को स्पॉट पर रवाना किया, 400 से ज़्यादा पुलिस बल भेजा है और भारत सरकार को भी अवगत कराया, जिसके माध्यम से वो तुरंत उनके यहाँ से मदद मिले। और हम इस पूरी प्रयास में है कि हर हालत में किसी भी तरह सबसे पहले आग पे काबू पाया जा सके, जो भी घायल हैं उनको यथायोग्य मदद मिले। हमने घोषणा की है कि जो भी घायल होगा उसका इलाज पूरा मुफ्त किया जाएगा। जिनके घर में ये घटना घटी है या जिनकी मृत्यु हुई है उनको परिवार को लगभग 4 लाख रुपए प्रति परिवार उसमें देने की हमने घोषणा की है। साथ ही साथ कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि इसमें जो
On Monday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a thumping speech said that the NDA will return for the third term and that the BJP will win over 370 seats while the NDA will breach the 400 mark. Opposition laughing it off, saying overconfidence will cost the BJP. But is that 370 mark possible? Let's find out. What do the numbers say and how do they project? Interestingly, ladies and gentlemen, what has happened is 282 is no longer being spoken about, 272 is not being spoken about. It's about can they reach 370. If the BJP gets 300, they're still back in power. But let's see the road to 370. How does this work? Let's call the numbers a little. Let's look at this. Is the favorite, my favorite, the India map, and our team has just put together not just the footprint of the BJP where they're ruling, but also where they have actually got seats. In Assam, they got 9 out of 14 seats. Just come a little closer in terms of zoom in on the graphics so that our viewers can read it nicely. Yes. Now let's look at this. Assam 9 out of 14, Tripura 2 on 2, Jharkhand 11 on 14, Chhattisgarh 9 on 11, Uttarakhand all 5, Haryana all 10, Delhi all 7, Himachal all 4, Rajasthan 24 out of 25, Madhya Pradesh 28 out of 29, Gujarat 26 out of 26, Karnataka 25 out of 28. These were the big gains where they literally swept everything. Then, where can they improve their tally? Let's look at Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh is 62 on 80. Now, if they breach into the 70s, if they are able to get 75, that's 13 seats more. That's big. Bihar was only 17 out of 40. This time they're targeting all 40. Is that possible now that the JDU is back in the NDA? Big question. Maharashtra. Just now we've got to see that Ajit Pawar retains the Ghadi, even as the Eknath Shinde rests the bow and arrow. So 23 out of 48, can they breach the 40 number there? Big question, because the Shiv Sena also got quite a lot of seats the last time around. How much of it that can they pinch? Bengal 18 out of 42, how much can they get this time around? And Punjab 2 out of 13, will they breach Punjab? Will they do better in Punjab? Especially when the AAP and the Congress are not meeting eye to eye. So if it's a three-way fight, what happens to the Shiromani Akali Dal? Four-way fight, is the BJP doing enough to break at least and rest 5 or 6 Lok Sabha seats there? How important, how big? Now, if you look at these numbers, if they do well in Bihar, if they do well in Bengal, and if they get into the 70s, about 70, 72 seats, even in Uttar Pradesh, 10 seats there, that itself adds to about 20 seats, 25 seats. Let's try and understand where they need to really breach. These are the 100 Lok Sabha seats where the BJP is poorest, ladies and gentlemen. Kerala 0 out of 20, Tamil Nadu 0 out of 38, Telangana only 4 out of 17, and Andhra Pradesh 0 out of 25 seats. So 100 seats here, they are bare, they are 0. And then add another 21 seats in Odisha, so 121 seats. And the BJP got only 8 out of 21 seats in Odisha. Overall, out of 121 seats, they had only 12 seats. 12 seats out of 121 seats. That's where they really need to become really good. Let's try and go across to our guests and understand, in this India map, how better can they do? What is it that they can really do? Can they achieve? That's what's been. We'll try and keep that map there, and I'll ask our camera person to see if they can continue to keep showing that even as we go across to our guests and speak with them, ladies and gentlemen. Pratyush Kant is with us, spokesperson of the BJP. Dr. Anand Ranganathan stays with us. Rahul Verma, fellow CPR, with us, and Tehseen Poonawala stays on. So, first part, Rahul Verma. Namaste, Jai Hind to everybody. Thank you very much, Dr. Ranganathan, and for Tehseen for staying on. But Rahul, PM has said 370. So everybody is now looking 370 कैसे आएगा? But 300 भी आ गया तो सरकार बन गई ना उनकी.
That is true. At 272, the party can form the government. And yes, 370 is difficult in Indian politics because there are only 2 instances when a party crossed 370. If I remember correctly, one was 1957 and the other was 1984 when Congress party crossed 370. So yes, it looks difficult, but it's not impossible. Who had thought that BJP would get 272 in 2014 because no party had got majority after 1984, and after that no one thought that BJP would get 303. So it's difficult but not impossible. And yes, you are absolutely right that after 272 every other number is an addition. But I think one of the reasons PM gave a number is to not just show confidence, but also be combative in his sort of like last speech in the 17th Lok Sabha.
No, but the fact is that there must be a reason why Tehseen Poonawalla, he said 370. He could have said 330, he could have said 380, he could have said 350, but he said 370.
Because he's the smartest politician today in our country, and we got to accept that. So when we all will debate 370 hoga ya nahi hoga, Anand, you got it brilliantly. The fact is, even if he gets 320, he's forming the government. The debate is no longer about whether he's winning or no. The debate is by how much is he winning. So he's set the ball differently, and the opposition reacted to it. The opposition doesn't listen. They don't know how to understand. So he's taken the narrative away from him. It's not about winning. It's about by how much is he winning. His entire speech was, in my third term, I will do that in my third term. He's sounding like a man who's manifested it. So that's the way it works, and that's psychology. That's a big blow to the opposition. Suddenly you have the opposition that is, if they were not already demoralized, even more demoralized by a fantastic speech in Parliament. I'm a political opponent of the Prime Minister. I love speeches in Parliament. This was a good speech by the Prime Minister. A political speech, but he's a political person. Look, what the opposition needs to do. Let me speak from the opposition point of view, because I want to see the BJP defeated. This does not, even now, it does not guarantee a BJP victory. The opposition can still win, but South and East is where the opposition is concentrating. Those are wrong areas to fight in. Even if you win 60% of the seats in South and East of India, in the North and West, the BJP's strike rate is 90%. You're not winning. The low-hanging fruits are the North and Maharashtra, where you can actually do well. Yes, Ajit Pawarji's got the symbol. Yes, Eknath Shinde ji, there's massive anti-incumbency. If the opposition can get its act correct in the North and the West, particularly the Congress in the 160 seats it fights against the BJP, there is a chance to win. But the point is, can you get your act correct?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, nobody from the opposition said 370 कहाँ से आएंगे, 280 तो हमारी आ रही हैं. Nobody said that. They didn't even say कि भाई 300.
That's the point.
And the other thing is, nobody even said that कि भाई 420 में से 370 आप जीतोगे, 120 दक्षिण के ये 5 राज्यों के तो हमारे पास वैसे ही हैं, वो तो आप जीतने नहीं वाले. Nobody said this कि आपका स्ट्राइक रेट ऐसा है ही. Nobody from the opposition has said this, and that's what stands out. प्रत्युष जी, before I come to you, डॉक्टर रंगनाथन, 370 कहाँ से आई भाई?
मैं बाद में बताऊंगा. पहले आनंद, all of us know you are hated by the left, but today I hate you as well. Because you just required 2 astonishing graphics to completely kill the debate. Is this the way to have a debate? यहाँ मैं पूरी तैयारी करके आया था.
जी, sorry, हाँ जी, बोलिए.
I had come prepared this debate with all the data, and you've completely killed it. But you are absolutely right. Look, 370 is a very tall ask. I don't know why he said it, because it also can be misinterpreted as being overconfident. You rightly said it. Even if you get 300, मतलब 10 years of anti-incumbency के बाद भी अगर आप कह रहे हो कि 300 से satisfied नहीं है, 370 चाहिए. And the fact is, you already showed in all the large states that really count, BJP did really well in 2019. Some of them it got maximum as it could. And in the states where it could improve, all right, in UP it could get 10 more seats. But do you really expect in Bengal it would get 10 more than it already had, 18? Do you expect in Andhra, do you expect in South it would get 10, 20 more? So in Odisha, for example, no chance. In Maharashtra, the ally would probably have the same seat share as BJP has. So even if it wanted to get 20 more in Maharashtra, it wouldn't be allowed to, because it's an NDA partner, reliable NDA partner now, with the true Shiv Sena being its partner. So I don't know how 370 looks a possibility. I think he just said it as a bombastic comment and people have latched on to it. I think it can be dangerously interpreted as being overconfident.
One thing, over 10 years of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, if he is standing on the floor of the House, he is not bombastic. There is a reason why that number was thought of and he has spoken about, and he said 400 par and 370. But Pratyush ji, ये 370 आएंगे कहाँ से? Because sir, 303 में से there will be anti-incumbency. आप 150 MP बदल दीजिएगा, लेकिन फिर भी कुछ ऐसी सीटें होंगी जहाँ आप हारिएगा. So there will be some attrition, मान लीजिए 15-20% attrition minus. So that means you have to add another 120 seats to your gains or to where you will be. और उसमें से 120 तो उन ऐसे स्टेट्स में है जहां बीजेपी का काडर ही नहीं है. 42 में से बंगाल में आप पिछली बार 18 तो जीत गए, उसके बाद जो वहां से भागे हैं फिर से आप कदम जमा पाए कि नहीं? जिन्होंने बीजेपी का साथ दिया उनको तो दौड़ा के तृणमूल कांग्रेस वालों ने मारा था. बीजेपी के बड़े नेता भाग गए, ये आरोप है बंगाल में. सो व्हाट आर यू गोइंग टू डू डिफरेंट दिस टाइम अराउंड?
आनंद भैया, आपके बातों से लग रहा है कि आप बिल्कुल सीरियस नहीं हैं और थोड़ा ह्यूमर में ले रहे हैं सारे चीज को. फर्स्ट लेट मी मेक इट वेरी क्लियर, इफ ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैज सेड 370, he means 370. A and B, you have no idea how a party which is run by workers, run on an ideology and is a party based on absolute strong organization, if we come up with a figure after hundreds of meetings and ears to the ground. We don't just come with a figure like that. तो तब से मैं सुन रहा हूँ आप सब लोग मुस्कुरा के कहानी बोल रहे हो इसके बारे में. अब आपको बता दूं मैं, हाउ मच हार्ड वर्क हैज गॉन. इफ यू हैव डन सो मच ऑन द ग्राउंड, करोड़ों गैस कनेक्शन लगे हैं, टॉयलेट्स बने हैं, बिजलियां दी गई हैं, एलईडी ट्यूब्स दिए गए हैं, एनर्जी एफिशिएंट फैंस दिए गए हैं, सब चीज, रेलवे स्टेशन, टूरिज्म, ये सब भैया जब आप ग्राउंड में जाइएगा, मैं तो बिहार से आता हूं, अगर आप गांव में जाइएगा तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि हम लोग क्यों बोल रहे हैं. हमारा 10 साल जो है वो कोई पैसा कमाने का टेन्योर नहीं था कि रोज सुबह उठो और एक नया स्कैम आपको सुनने को मिल रहा है. वी मेंट बिजनेस, वी न्यू दैट द पीपुल हमारे सब कुछ हैं, उनके पास जाना है हम लोगों को. आप क्या बात कर रहे हैं? झारखंड, बिहार, यूपी, सब जगह स्वीप है. स्वीप समझते हैं आप ना? सफाई सीधे. क्यों? हमारे पास ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, हमारे पास रिपोर्ट कार्ड है दिखाने के लिए. हम हवा में जाके नहीं बात करने वाले हैं सर. हमारे पास लोग हैं सर जिनका काम हुआ है, डायरेक्ट बेनिफिशियरीज हैं. प्रत्युष जी, हमको आनंद भैया बस 2 मिनट बोलने दीजिए खाली. बाकी आप पूरा आप आगे का 3 मिनट ले लीजिए, मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. आई हैव ओनली वन थिंग टू से सर. आई सेड दैट द प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज नेवर बॉम्बास्टिक अबाउट हिज कमेंट्स एंड ही मीन्स बिजनेस. 370 seats means he will ensure that there is enough work that is done. But the last time around in Bengal, sir, when you got 18 seats out of the 42, after that, Anand Ranganathan ji is showing a comment made by Amit Shah ji saying BJP will win 200 seats. The BJP went from 7 to 77. But what was done to the BJP's organization on ground in those 48 hours, those videos are still there with me. And where were the top leaders of the BJP at that time? Those videos are also still there with me, sir. So the question is, sir, will those people come back and work for you when you have not stood up with them? Is a hard question to answer. In Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Odisha, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, these 5 states where you don't have a strong organization, 121 seats, I showed you the numbers that you had less than 8 seats there. How are you going to make up those numbers is the question, sir. And are you going to do the legwork that your captain wants you to do is the larger question. Anand ji, firstly, you are doubting the tenacity of a BJP worker. I think you are mistaking them with some Congress worker or some regional party worker.
Sir, I am not doubting the tenacity of the BJP worker. I am questioning some of the spineless leaders who ran away from there and because of which that tenacity was dented, sir. Please understand this. I am questioning those leaders who are ready, who are more interested, and quote unquote the Prime Minister, who are more interested in chapas and bakas rather than working on ground in states where the BJP has not been able to make a dent, namely Telangana, namely Andhra Pradesh and namely Kerala, sir.
No, Anandji, I'll just tell you one thing.
Sir, with due, no disrespect to anybody, sir. I am saying, sir, if you add 42 seats of Bengal to the 121 tally, sir, you know the number is 163 seats. UP, Bihar, Bengal put together is 162. 5 states of the south, including Odisha, I'm adding them, including Bengal, is 163
you think you are under the illusion, Bengal is the most corrupt government. The ED raids, the CBI raids, the way the courts are hauling them up, people know what's happening in Bengal. See, she has, the whole politics of Bengal is run by gundas and criminals. And only Bharatiya Janata Party and its workers can fight them out, and we are doing that. And Anandji, you'll be pleasantly surprised once the election results come, how well we are going to do in Bengal. You are under the illusion that 18 बहुत मुश्किल है 18 तक पहुंचना. अरे 18 से भैया बहुत ऊपर पहुंचेंगे हम लोग, क्योंकि हमारा ग्राउंड वर्क कमाल का हो रहा है. हमें पता है बंगाल में क्या है, किस तरह गुंडे हैं. वहां जो ईडी टीम पे रेड हो जाती है, उनको मारते हैं, पीटते हैं, तो गुंडागर्दी सोचिए. हमारे तो निहत्थे वर्कर हैं, फिर भी बहुत टेनेशियस हैं, लड़ेंगे इनसे. इसीलिए आपको प्रेजेंटली, और बंगाल में बहुत बड़ा पॉपुलेशन बेस है जिनको पता है कि बीजेपी को लानी है, हमें नरेंद्र मोदी को लाना है. भाई जो इतने सारे स्कीम्स हैं, इसका एडवांटेज थोड़ी कि उन लोगों को नहीं मिल रहा है.
तो ये जो 121 सीटें जो मैं आपको, चलिए बंगाल के 42 सीट में आप जीतेंगे, बंगाल के 42 सीट में 18 से बेहतर करेंगे, ये आपका कॉन्फिडेंस है. लेट्स एक्सेप्ट दैट. आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू आस्क यू अ लिटिल मोर. 121 सीट्स of these 5 states that I counted, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Then I'll go across to Rahul Verma. Yes, Pratyush ji.
Sir, we have a एब्सोल्यूट स्ट्रैटेजी इन प्लेस. आपने देखा भी होगा, बहुत सारी मीटिंग्स हो रही हैं. वी आर अ पार्टी हु नोज वेयर वी आर स्ट्रांग एंड वेयर वी आर वीक. वी हैव वर्कड ऑन दोज एरियाज. आवर वर्कर्स आर देयर, सीनियर लीडर्स आर गोइंग एवरी टाइम, मिनिस्टर्स आर गोइंग देयर. वी हैव communicating with the people of those states, those areas, what development we have got. We are identifying very good faces who will contest, who are local faces, who will do wonders in the election. And mind you, every candidate of Bharatiya Janata Party has a Narendra Modi backing.
Sir,
people know when they go to vote for you, they are voting for Narendra Modi.
Sir, you want to do critical assessment? Let me ask you, sir. In Tamil Nadu, you have 0 out of 38 seats. Now the AIADMK, your earlier alliance partner, you're not there. There is Annamalai who's doing a lot of work on ground. Do you have the organization in place to back Annamalai? In Kerala, 0 out of 20 seats. Between the left and the Congress, they will share the spoils. Sir, how many seats will the BJP win in Kerala? Last 5 years, there are people who are supposedly working on ground. And can you guarantee more than 2 seats in Kerala, sir? Do you have the confidence to say it? Sir, there is a lot of work which is being done in some areas, but there is a lot of lacuna which is happening in other areas, especially in the south. Telangana and Andhra, they were ripe for the picking. Will Telangana swing your way now? Telangana 4 out of 17 seats. Now, soon after the Telangana results, there are BJP leaders who have said we will win at least 12 out of 17. We'll see, sir. I've got that on record and on tape. And Andhra Pradesh, 0 out of 25. Where is the BJP going to be in Andhra Pradesh, which was again ripe, open there for the BJP at a time? Erstwhile Andhra Pradesh BJP had gone up to 12 to 15% market share, if my memory serves me right. You've slipped down to 3%. Dr. Ranganathan, Tehseen Poonawalla and Rahul Verma. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
No, absolutely. You know, Pratyush is not only a very dear friend, he's my classmate as well. And I hope whatever I say next, he doesn't mind, because I have purloined a lot of cafe hogs and scrambled eggs and toast from him. So, we go back a very long way. But it has to be said, if you were to do clinical analysis.
Yes, that's true.
And when Pratyush says that, we are going to get more seats from Bengal, I don't see how. And that's the reason why I put out this thing. I mean, yes, I mean, as a party leader, he has it in him to, say that yes, 370, even 390, why stop at 390, 400? But the fact of the matter is that when Amit Shah ji said that we are going to cross 200 comfortably in Bengal, they got 70. It's great from 2 to 70, yes, but they got 130 seats less than what was projected, with the same workers, with the same atrocities that were being committed and that the BJP was highlighting. So if you could get it so wrong just 2 years ago, why do you think you've done something miraculous that you're going to get everything right hunky-dory in 2 months' time? Also, the fact remains, Anand, as you quote again and again, I mean, let us put Pratyush ji under the guillotine, if to say. Tamil Nadu, how many seats does he expect BJP to get?
Sir, Tamil Nadu, you will have to ask Annamalai because Pratyushji will not be able to say. Kerala, who do we ask? And is there anybody who can come with a number?
I can tell you,
no,
Anand,
out of the
1 minute,
sir, out of the 20 seats in Kerala, how much can they get? What work has been done? Sir, why do I ask? After 2019 victory, sir, after 2019 victory, Rahul Verma, if you remember, the first place the Prime Minister visited was the Guruvayur temple near Thrissur. First place that he visited. So, 5 years later in Kerala, how many seats can the BJP win? What is the inroads that they have made?
Only one of Rahul Gandhi.
Yes, Rahulji. You're on mute, Rahul.
I don't know how many seats they would win. See, there are 2 points. Anand is absolutely right. The statement was bombastic. All leaders do this. They are supposed to do this because they want to instill confidence among workers. And in politics, the more important thing is to change the agenda of debate. What now Prime Minister's speech has done is that we are not talking about whether BJP is winning or not. The debate everywhere, across channels, across newspaper, is between now 272 and 370. So this is the game of politics where you change the agenda of conversation. Second point, which is why I would say it's not impossible, even if it's bombastic, is because the results when they come on in 2024 would not be on the basis of states. Because if elections become on the basis of states, it would be difficult for BJP to even reach 272. In 2019, nobody would have thought BJP getting 4 seats in Telangana or 18 seats in West Bengal. If the elections acquire national in character, we don't know where they are going to pick seats. Of course, 370 is even then a very, very difficult task. But once you put the debate on 370, you are discussing whether it's going to be.
Yeah, what will be the margin of victory? You're not going to say, you're not discussing whether it's win or loss. But the fact is, sir, through the course of this entire program, I've actually showed you the roadmap to 370 without people realizing it. You just have to look back at it. Those 370 will happen. Yes, Tehseen ji. Yeah.
At the end of the day, I am one who wants BJP to lose, or at least not do as well as it's projected to do. And when I speak from an opposition point of view, I think 2 things very, very strongly for the opposition. The South and the East, as you rightly said, does belong, the opposition has an advantage. But the North and the West are something where the BJP is extremely vulnerable at. Why else would they break away Ajit Pawar and Eknath Shinde ji? Even in the East, why else would they break away Nitish Kumar if Modi ji was so confident of the work he's done? Yeah, you can say in hindsight these are political strategies. But the fact is they are not confident of winning. On the ground, there is terrible suffering. There is terrible lack of saving, terrible lack of employment. If the opposition can get its narrative correct, not play on the BJP pitch, not play on 370, but play on the pitch of employment, jobs, savings, and creating a better future, give a roadmap to the people of India, you could be in for a surprise. But then that's a tall order. It's a very tall order, but but there's also one more thing. The BJP is gaining new grounds. It's gaining grounds in Kerala, Tamil Nadu. Today, Anand, tell me, 15 years ago, who would have thought the BJP would have been in government?
Sir, I have to wind up, but let me just tell you, Maharashtra, Bihar, Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Odisha, Telangana, Tamil Nadu. I'm just counting these states. If they get the numbers right in these states, 370 is possible. Rest remaining the same. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much. Have to wind up on that note. Thank you very much.
Co-presented by उनको पूरा यथायोग्य सब प्रकार का इलाज कराया जा सके बाबा महाकाल सबके कृपा करेंगे मैं ऐसी उम्मीद करता हूँ यद्यपि अब घटना बहुत भीषण है और हम प्रयास करेंगे किसी हालत में घटना की पुनरावृत्ति नहीं हो और इसी में इस घटना के जांच के आदेश भी मैंने दिए हैं होम सेक्रेटरी इसकी जांच करके पूरी रिपोर्ट मेरे को देने वाले हैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि जल्दी आप पे काबू पाया जाएगा हम सब हिम्मत रखें सरकार पूरी सजग है पूरी मुस्तैदी से घटना के बाद इस पे जो प्रबंधन हो सकते हैं वो सब प्रबंधन में लगे हुए हैं
Harda MLA who's joining us on the phone line. दोगने साहब और क्या जानकारी दे सकते हैं आप हमें ये पूरी फैक्ट्री इतना इंटेंस ब्लास्ट हुआ है डेथ टोल भी ऊपर जा रहा है काफ़ी घर